Level 80, the Medial Circuit. Alizé seems eager to get underway. Assuming everyone's tightened their straps and checked their gear, then I say we head on in. Given the terrain ahead, though, it might be wise to leave some distance between us. We don't want to be stumbling over each other if it comes to a fight. Take it slow and don't forget to check your surroundings from time to time. We can meet up again at the other end of the tunnel. Deeper into the tunnel. Okay. Further down the spiral. Everyone seems to have made it through without incident, nothing of consequence at least, and as promised, the tunnel has delivered us into the medial circuit. As I recall, this tier is where they keep a wide variety of samples for agricultural production. Baronville's assumption holds true that specimens are being collected in preparation for Great Migration, then we should see evidence of such plans in the area's research projects. Let's follow the path to the nearest farming facility and see what we see. Aha, now I know where we are. This is the Medial Agronomics. Labyrinthos is a host to a wide variety of vegetation, which allows us to conduct studies on cultivation methods utilized in foreign lands. It is this facility which coordinates and oversees those efforts. The fruits of their research go to feed their Labyrinthos colleagues, or so I hear. More notable successes might make it to the Agora, food so exotic you'd be hard-pressed to guess their origin, let alone how they might taste. Indeed, mystery vegetables without a name, only a list of nutritional benefits scribbled on a card. I see no gleaners hereabouts, yet these workers seem to share that same sense of urgency. It's possible they know something of the forum's plans and their underlying motivations. Worth looking into, wouldn't you say? See what you can coax from the workers. The rest of us will do the same or cast about for useful clues. Are they all trying to flee? Is that the deal? Is that what we think the deal is? Oh, hello there. We weren't expecting visitors, not with use of the lift being restricted. How did you make it down here anyway? The mine shaft, you say? Well, you're a much hardier soul than I. Under normal circumstances, I'd reward such tenacity with a guided tour of the fields, but I'm afraid the forum has its filling order list a mile long. Massive yet detailed requests, literal wagon loads of crop samples, and hardly any time to put them together. When I first heard of this grand reorganization, I assumed we would be shuffling around old stock to make room for the new. Then came the orders for ridiculous quantities of seeds we'd already thoroughly researched. Passing strange, I pressed for an explanation and was met with vague assurances that all would be revealed in due course. Not the most satisfying answer. Huff huff, do I have aught to be taken down below? More than I can carry, and then some. Most of our stock is sent off via the cargo lift, but some has been earmarked for aerial transport, hence the stack of crates atop that hill over there. God's hauling the lot up that slope was a job and a half. Harried harvester. What crops are we raising? Well, as you can see, this one is a variety of grape. Only needs a good source of sunlight to grow, and the conditions here are nothing short of perfect. Hardly surprising given that it's native to a particular locale and the very place upon which Labyrinthos was modeled, a region in the south of Ilsabard. Boasts remarkable habitat diversity, allowing for myriad flora and fauna to thrive. Chilly peaks in the north give way to swaths of temperate plains, which in turn transition into hot, humid coastline. Such bountiful territory is ever contested, as you might expect. It used to be called Corvos before the Imperials renamed it Locus Amanus. Forum saw it not as a prize, however, but as a researcher's ideal environment, one whose climates we strove to recreate within the confines of Labyrinthos. It's since provided a rich foundation for countless experiments and cultivation. Investigate the stacked boxes. The hill. Labels on these crates tell the story of their contents, bundles of common seeds and saplings, accompanied by sheaves of reports. Pretty.
Hard to look away, isn't it? But they're more than pretty flowers. Heart blooms are attuned to ambient emotion. You don't seem convinced, but believe me, it's true.
Something of a botanist myself.
This ashen grey, for instance, it mirrors the anxiety and urgency of those working nearby as they rush to fulfill sudden orders. Intense feelings like those spur the petals to change colour. Bright glowing hues in the presence of joy, dark subdued shades for frustration or despair. Yet even with the collected wisdom of Charlian at our disposal, we've yet to identify the underlying principle of this empathic effect. And there are other mysteries besides. Although the flower is extraordinarily long-lived, its low reproductive rate has made it difficult to find younger populations growing in the wild. With too few sightings to map its distribution, and no closely related species to track, we've been unable to pinpoint its land of origin.
History flowers.
To further complicate matters, every culture, even dimly aware of its existence, has given it a different name and mythos. Our attempts to study it via the historical record have been an exercise in frustration. As an avid botanist myself, I should one day like to unravel the Heartbloom's secrets. But I'm afraid other duties must take precedence. I will leave you to your thoughts.
Have you learned aught of interest?
Nothing about flowers.
A flower that reacts to one's feelings. Strange. I must say, I have never heard of such a thing.
This is all very fascinating. But as it stands, we fail to gain any significant insight into the Forum's undertaking.
Indeed. While there is certainly enough activity to support Erenville's supposition that a priority has been placed on improving food production, unfortunately for our investigation, these workers were never informed as to how their duties serve the master plan.
If only we could interrogate the Forum members directly. Isn't that the entrance to the Archaean? Look, there. I think that's Erenville.
Aaron. Okay.
A little difficult to tell from here, but I think you're right. He did say he was coming down to make his report.
Erenville receives his orders from the Forum. Would it not follow, then, that the superior to whom he reports is a Forum member, or at least a close associate?
You mean to eavesdrop on their conversation? What of the risks?
Ours alone to bear. We won't interfere with Erenville's work, nor will he be implicated as an accomplice. If you're not comfortable taking part, I can do this alone.
Nay. I said myself that I wished to know Father's intentions. And no answers will be forthcoming should we simply ask nicely.
We can apologize later, should it come to it. Right now, we need every crumb of information we can get our hands on. Consequences be damned.
It might be best if you came along as well. In fact, we should all...
Right. Turn out the flowers, huh? Flowers talking to her.
Cryo?
Oh, yes. That certainly sounds like a plan.
I'm glad you agree.
quickly. Erenville is on the move. We need to get closer before we lose him.
Almost. I can almost reach you.
Trial's still feeling unwell. I've never seen her so distracted. Keep an eye on her, but keep moving too. We cannot let our quarry slip away. Level 80, the medial circuit, complete. Level 80, the full report, warts and all. Alizé is not about to let Erenville out of her sight. Erenville was headed westwards along the path outside the Archeon. Come, we can still catch him. Hold a moment, I have an idea. Memory serves, the colossal wall-like structure is Logisticon Beta, one of Labyrintho's climate control centers. It should have its own lifts, with which one could access the upper or lower tiers. If I were an agent of the Forum, I would make for a convenient meeting place. But even if we happen to find Erenville in the company of said agent, we cannot expect them to reveal issues of importance as we nonchalantly stroll past. Nay, we shall have to remain undetected. Only Graha and his vanish spell were here. Oh, but there are other ways of turning invisible. Hippity hop, my little toads. Oh, she's going full on Matoya now, huh? Goodness. Unaccustomed to transfiguration, worry not, it will wear off with the passage of time. I suggest you and your green companions hop along and catch up with Erenville. Should you feel the magic's fading, return to me and I will refresh the enchantment. And what am I to do in the meantime? Wait here with me. In your current state of mind, you'd be as likely to leap into the jaws of a predator as you would learn anything of note. Reminds me, where the creatures hereabouts, in that form you are essentially defenseless. You have changed into a toad. You must remain transfigured in order to progress with the quest objectives. You'll return from your transfigured status. If you move too far away, look to your map for the transfiguration's area of effect. Speak with Stola to restore or prolong the transfiguration. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Alfie Toad and Hallie Toad are now accompanying you. Keep them at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. You can leave your quest companions behind by entering in a different area or by speaking with them and selecting the option to part ways. If you wish to have your companions join you again, return and speak with them at the original location. Pretty hot. Yep. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. Alpha Toad attempts and fails to shake his head, but you nevertheless understand that he's telling you that this is the wrong way. Ribbit, 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 ribbit. Alley Toad turns to face north. Perhaps she is suggesting you cross the bridge. Go back. I mean, I came there because it was the place to talk. Only have 28 more minutes to make it there. Here we go.
I trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Charlian scholars, and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Charlian was charged with a momentous duty. And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge. I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
Then I will do your bidding. For now. But unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
Worker revolt.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the forum.
Not even remotely suspicious.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full.
What a pal.
While I do have my reservations about the forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
The clever one.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
We still don't really know anything. I suppose we should have known a gleaner who specializes in animal procurement would not be so easily deceived, yet he seemed inclined to put his trust in us all the same. More importantly, perhaps we've discovered a new piece of the puzzle, this momentous duty the Forum agent mentioned. Darlian has been called to action, and the Talafaroy's declaration was the catalyst. Whatever charge it is they hope to fulfill, they deem it of sufficient import to disrupt all of Labyrinthos, not to mention ignore Eorzea's request for aid. Level 80, the full report, warts and all, complete. Level 80, a guide of sorts. Alizé is staring off in the direction Irenville departed, a thoughtful look on her face. What duty could warrant the direct involvement of the Forum and the commitment of all its resources? Judging by what we just heard, none of the Gleaners were offered any kind of explanation. At this point, it seems abundantly clear that we'll learn nothing new by pressing them further. We should head back to Stola and Krau for the moment, see what they think of this. Wait. Welcome back. I trust you found Erenville then? Interesting. I had a feeling you would learn something important, even if that something was simply a confirmation that no one knows much of anything. We should share this with Kryle, then discuss how we'd like to proceed. Assuming we find her back at the farm, she was still behaving oddly, so I bade her return and rest there. Perhaps not the best decision in hindsight. Would you mind checking near those flowers she was so entranced by? The rest of us can survey the more distant areas, just in case she decided to wander. Straight tomato, straight onion. Unlock. Probably the current. Where the hell is she? Flowers are like up here. In circles. just got turned. Oh, yeah, there she is.
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting. She said you would need it for the journey ahead. Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
Thank you.
Creepy.
Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower. Walk free, for you are free to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first, so weak and tenuous it was. Once I took hold of that wispy thread, imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower. Yes, we are definitely making progress. You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong! Master Fortuno? What business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian, a group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What, then, is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Grah! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Oh, but I wanted to murder.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
Forgive me. I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order! This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuner, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
What? I go slap that lady.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a Forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea. You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Yes. We are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission, not through strife and bloodshed, but survival.
Words.
Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Tell him, girl.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno, I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me.
Oh.
So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Let's get back on track.
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these Scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? Now, if we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
Order! We will have order! Master Monteshane raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we enforce the following measures. Until further notice, the students of Baldessian are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Sharlian. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, Scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
So curious what their big secret mission is. Well, at least we've been allowed to remain in the city. Our endless investigations have not been in vain. We now know that this mysterious duty of theirs began with whatever the Forum discussed in the ethereal sea. With our freedom so sorely curtailed, however, we will struggle to learn aught more of the substance here in Charlian. Level 80, a guide of sorts, complete. State visitor. Alizé has a look of dissatisfaction. The overall picture has grown clearer, yes, but that's in spite of the Forum being so maddeningly vague about this duty of theirs. Why are they so reluctant to explain their actions in plain words? Survival come what may, his father's work so vital that it takes precedence over his own family. Alphinaud, Alizé, it is you. When I heard you'd been dragged before the Forum, I came as swiftly as I could. I am so very glad they allowed you to stay. Is that their mom? Mother! Millions Levelier at your service. And you fine people must be the signs of the 7th dawn. How lovely it is to finally meet you. Mother, please, we don't wish to make things difficult for you. If word reaches father that you were here. Oh, bother that. Am I to be chastised for speaking with my own children? I am well aware that you and your master Fauchenal are not on the best of terms at the moment, but I've been absolutely desperate to see my darlings again. You will come by the house, won't you? I have gifts waiting. Timing couldn't be better. As matters stand, we shan't be going anywhere until we discuss matters with Thancred's group and reconsider our options. Go visit your home. We will be back at the annex when you are ready to rejoin us. I'm not sure what do you think? These are thee. What a splendid day this has turned out to be. Champion of Eorzea, I insist that you join us. But we must be quick about it, not for my own benefit, but should my husband return and find you enjoying our hospitality, the servants will be made to suffer the consequences. You'd be so kind as to escort my children to the estate. Then she was gone, and with her any opportunity to protest. Indeed, the matter is settled. Enjoy yourselves, you three. Go and meet Mummy. I apologize, my mother is not one to take no for an answer. Still, I am glad, relieved even, to see her in such high spirits. What say you, though it seems we shall have little enough time to enjoy it, will you accompany us on our visit home? Fine, if I were going, then let's get it over with. But be sure to stay in the entrance hall, no peeking into our private chambers. Thank you very much. Why ever not? Your room was always perfectly neat and tidy. Everyone has things they'd rather keep to themselves, don't they? Cherished mementos you couldn't bring yourself to throw away. Childhood toys. I mean, God, never mind. The Levelier estate is this way. Straight down the stairs. Come on. Winota and Alizé are now accompanying you. Keep them at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. Leave your quest companions behind by entering a different area or by speaking with them and selecting the option to part ways. If you wish to have your companions join you again, return and speak with them at the original location. When Alizé and I were little, this bridge was as far as we were permitted to wander alone. Say alone, but my mother or a servant was always somewhere nearby, keeping a watchful eye. Now look at us, traveling to different continents, different worlds even. As children would often wait here for father to come home from work. Must have been a day when his meetings ran long because I remember growing restless and leaning out over the railing to watch the water rush by. Father, of course, arrived at that exact moment, came pounding down the path in a panic, crying out my name. Oh yes, this is where I first practiced magic on an actual person. Alizé had fallen, you see, and scraped her knee quite badly, so I tried casting this simple restorative spell I had only just learned. How she smiled when the wound closed, the joy and relief. That was, I believe, the very moment I chose the healing arts as the main subject of my studies. I used to come here all the time with grandfather. In summer, I would dip my hands and feet in the fountain and splash about. Not Alphinaud, though even back then he wasn't very fond of playing in water, making the excuse to avoid it. He would explain how I came to swim like an auk and he sank like a stove. I think we have all of them. Yes. Just double check. Medial. And here you are at last. Please do come in.
Welcome home, my lady.
What? What are you gawping at?
As Levelier in all its grandeur, Scion headquarters must seem squalid indeed. Just admiring the craftsmanship.
I'll have you know I'm quite fond of the Rising Stones.
Lord Fourcheneau is not to hear of this visit. And I should also like the children to have their gifts, ere my husband makes his return.
As you wish, my lady.
Master Alphinaud, Mistress Alizé, if you'd accompany me upstairs.
We shan't be long.
The twins have been sending letters home from time to time, recounting their latest adventures. I am sure they withhold certain details, of course, if only to keep me from worrying. Yet a mother worries all the same. In the early days especially, I tried to support them as best I could, sending the Scion's coin and other such donations. Fortunately, they have found the strength to overcome adversity time and time again. Their words grow more confident with every letter, their depictions more vivid. The triumphs and defeats, the joys and sorrows. 'Tis clear that they have come to find value in every experience. But of those they treasure most, it would seem that meeting you might be the most impactful. Why, since that fateful day, I do believe there has not been a single missive in which you were not mentioned by name.
That's awesome.
'Tis plain they care for you, and I am glad they have such a steadfast companion watching over them. Under normal circumstances, I would offer you tea, but alas, these are anything but. In any event, why don't you keep me company whilst we await my children's return? Perhaps you might regale me with a tale or two of your exploits.
When you mentioned gifts, I wasn't sure what to expect. Mother,
Oh, look how well it fits you. And the style is to your liking?
It's perfect. Exactly what I would have chosen. But please, tell me you had something different made for Alphino.
Naturally. You are hardly little children anymore. And while I shall miss dressing you in those precious matching outfits, I must respect the individuals you have grown to become. See for yourself.
Thank you for the splendid clothes, Mother. Stylish, comfortable, and eminently practical.
I am so glad you like them. They are, however, missing one final touch.
If you would allow me, Master Alphino.
We have a sage.
Are these...
A sage's tools of the trade. They belonged to your father. Though he may as well be chained to his desk these days, as a student he was often called upon to venture into the field. He wielded those armaments, both to heal and to harm in no few battles. None so fierce as those you two have braved, perhaps, but battles nonetheless. Thus did I pull them out of storage, to show you that he was not always the man who stands in vehement opposition to you now. And also because it would be a terrible waste of ridiculously expensive House Leveilleur commissioned artistry. I am told these devices are quite difficult to master, but someone of your extensive experience should soon have them darting about with grace and aplomb. May the wisdom in that crystal serve you well. And please, try to find common ground with your father, that you might come and go without need for this awful subterfuge.
We will, Mother. I promise.
My final gifts to you, before you run off, are an observation and a suggestion. Firstly, Fortuno has ever been a serious man, but it was only after you were born that he truly lost himself in his work. I may not know the Forum's inner workings, but I know your father's. The timing of that change in him holds some significance. Secondly, do not seek to best your father with words. Far better that you simply show him. Let him discover the merit of your actions, after they cannot be undone.
Oh, Mother.
We shall take your wisdom to heart. Thank you again for these gifts, and farewell for now.
Safe travels, my children. Eat well, stay warm, and keep your friends close.
Thank you for indulging Mother's request. I can see it meant a lot to her, and I shall refrain from inquiring as to the content of your private conversation. Our visit was all too brief. For now, however, it will have to suffice, as will these tokens of home that we carry with us, these gifts to help us remember who we are and whence we came. But enough sentimentality, let us return to the annex and rejoin our companions. Damn it, click on the right one. Enjoyed your time with the Leviers, I hope. I would ask how the twins fared, but their new outfits tell the tale. I only hope we can help them to reconcile with their father, that they might return home one day with their heads held high. In the meantime, we edge ever closer to the secret of the Forum strives to hide, and the flower bequeathed to you by Hydeland is sure to guide us going forward. Confident once you've scouted out the situation in Thavnair, we'll be well equipped to plot our next move. Level 80 Estate Visitor complete.